dark forest is a theory which, simply put, places fear as the primary motivating force for the behaviors of alien civilizations. Fear of the unknown, of what might be lurking amongst the stars, is one of the oldest and most visibly articulated paradigms in humanity's discussions of alien life. Science fiction, in particular, amplifies this view, often portraying alien species as hell-bent on our extermination, and we have to acknowledge that we have been somewhat culturally preconditioned to expect this outcome due to Hollywood's lust for exploding cities. In a nutshell, Dark Forest proposes that the cosmos is a dog-eat-dog universe. It is actually filled with civilizations, but most of them stay silent for fear of being attacked. If a species does announce itself, then it will invariably be destroyed simply as an insurance policy against possible future competition. So the theory accommodates the premise that life could be common, and yet it explains the great silence that we observe. It is simply a consequence of this fear-driven mentality. Although the motivating ideas behind Dark Forest have been around for a long time, I guess what we might call the canonical Dark Forest theory stems from the 2008 science fiction series, The Three-Body Problem, by Chinese author Liu Cixin. Now, I'll be honest, I remember when I first heard that The Three-Body Problem, a book I own, had become a bestseller, I was kind of surprised but pleased that the public had finally got into Hamiltonian operators, but of course, it was a different book. So what we now call the Dark Forest theory is usually a reference to the second novel in this Liu Cixin series, but even then, this isn't the first story to introduce these ideas. It might be fair to call Fred Saberhagen's Berserker novel series as the father of Dark Forest, a series dating back to 1963, worth a read if you haven't before. In these stories, a civilization known as the Builders builds the Berserkers as a weapon against their mortal enemy, but the Berserkers malfunction and spread across the galaxy, sterilizing all worlds of organic life. The closest thing to a scientific basis for the Berserker hypothesis comes from physicist John von Neumann, who discussed the idea of self-reproducing probes, now often simply called von Neumann probes. Whereas Berserkers have the primary objective of killing all life, von Neumann probes simply aim to expand and reproduce, much like a bacterial colony. But it's easy to criticize the Berserk hypothesis as being plainly incompatible with our very existence. In fact, this was first pointed out by astronomer Michael Hart and is thus known as Hart's Fact A, that genocidal aliens have not visited us. And look, our planet has been infested with organic life for at least 4.2 billion years. So long that even if Berserkers were limited to the outrageously slow speeds of our Voyager 1 spacecraft, they could